Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Leadladders, an exciting community that brings the insights and experiences of successful leaders on their journey to the top. I am Shravan Kumar, your host, and our guest for today is Hari Haran, Head of Marketing, Nord Anglia Education, India. Hello, Hari. Welcome to the Leadladders. Can you share me a brief about yourself?
Hi, Shravan. Firstly, thank you so much for having me on the Lead Ladders podcast. I'm very excited to be here. Starting off with about me, I think I would call myself a sports person first and a marketer second. I would say the first half of my life playing a variety of sports. Of course, cricket being a major part of it. Skating was another sport that I spent a lot of time practicing. So I think that was my first, I would say the first 15, 20 years of my life. And then, of course, after that, it's been all about branding and marketing. And I would say I've had a very interesting journey, right from working as a marketing trainee to becoming the head of marketing now. And I've been fortunate to have experienced this profession across multiple industries like pharma, logistics, and now in education industry. So yes, I think that should probably summarize a bit about me.
That's great to know. But your journey from sports to marketing is something which I would be interested to know. But however, did you just stumble upon marketing from sports journey to marketing? Did you stumble upon the interest, or were you always interested into marketing?
It's a very interesting question. I think this is marketing was never in the frame of things for me. There are some people who, at some point in their life, whether they're while during their schooling or college, they sort of pick the profession or they have a liking towards a certain profession. Like for example, my sister, right from when she was probably in senior grades at school, she knew she wanted to become a doctor. Interestingly for me, that thought never came through. I mean, what I wanted to do for a very long time, because I was, busy into cricket and stuff like that. And when cricket did not work out, I went decided to do my masters in marketing. Just purely not because I was interested in marketing, but it seemed like one of the fields where there's a lot of how do I put it? There's a lot of content writing. There's a lot of creativity. So I just thought, let me give it a shot. And
Okay.
when I went to do my masters of marketing, I did a lot of part-time jobs on the side. Like it's the case when you go to a foreign land, you've got to support your living and stuff like that. And during doing all these part-time jobs, one of the jobs was selling perfumes. The other one was door-to-door sales. And I realized through these experiences that I was pretty good at it. I was pretty good at convincing somebody to buy a particular product, or a service. And that's when I think it occurred to me, maybe this is a field that I was meant for. So to
Okay.
answer your question, I think getting into marketing was like sort of a something that happened by chance, and it was not something that I had planned for.
Okay. And I'm sure you would agree with me that only few of us would have that clarity what your sister had. Most of us fall into that bracket where on the journey we actually find out what we like to do and stuff.
Very, very true.
Yeah. So Hari, as you know, this a podcast is related to leadership. I would get into that particular part of it. So I also heard your last podcast about inspiring the future, where you also spoke about sports, and that's one interesting part which I would like to know is how did sports actually influence your leadership style?
Uh, I think sports has a huge play on my leadership style, Shravan. I think initially, like cricket is a team game,
Hmm.
and earlier I would, when I was a member of the team, I would sort of focus more towards my own skill sets, batting and bowling. But when my cricket coach said that, Hari, listen, you're going to now be the captain of the team. You for the match tomorrow. And then, we've lost the first couple of games. Then I realized that I was still sort of thinking from a very individual perspective.
Mm-hmm.
thinking that I should be going and doing everything, I should be getting everything done, and I didn't sort of take the team along. So that was a
Okay.
very nice learning curve for me. And I think from then on, I made a lot of effort to really understand my own team, who's good at what are their strengths. There are some guys who are very good in, opening batting. Some guys are good as a middle order batsmen. Someone has a good knack in fielding in a particular position. So I spent a lot of time actually analyzing my own team, and I think
Okay.
that changed the way I then started managing the whole thing. I made sure that people having the right skills in the right places help your team perform well. And that sort of transcended to the way I work today as a leader as well. I know
Mm-hmm.
members in my team are strong in certain areas probably they are not. So having them in the right places, doing the job that they're best at, I think that really helps to deliver the final output. So definitely a lot of those cricket leadership skills have transcended to the way I manage my team today.
That's great to know, Hari, because I understand that because sports play an important role in understanding the team dynamics and stuff, and which could actually reflect the same in any department we are dealing with the team.
Right.
That's interesting to know. So, Hari, in your journey from being like a middle level manager to the journey to becoming the head of marketing, what kind of specific challenges did you feel face in the journey, and how did you overcome them?
I think from being a middle level manager to being a senior manager, uh, yeah, I think as a middle level manager, I mean, when I was a middle level manager, I think there was a lot of focus more towards the execution of things.
Okay.
It wasn't probably a lot more strategic. There was a lot more focus on being able to complete the task that was assigned to me.
Mhm.
And when I had to sort of transition to being a senior level leadership position, I realized the dynamics are very different. It is less about you and the work that you execute, but it is more about uh, being able to drive strategies that impact business, because then you become a commercial leader. I mean, your role becomes delivering revenue for whatever company or product that you're working in.
Mhm.
So all your ideation becomes less of, oh, you know what, I'm going to get this ad design done. You know, as a
Right.
middle level manager, you're probably thinking, oh, I'm going to get these ad designs done. But I think as a senior level leadership, you're starting to think that, all right, let the ad designs be where they are, but is this particular campaign drive business impact, and if so, what is that percentage of business impact? So I think the whole thought process, everything changed for me. And
Mhm.
I also realized, I think a big part of senior level leadership is, I mean, it's all about people management.
Right.
At a middle level leadership role, I think you focus more on, did I do my job well? But at a
True.
senior level leadership, it's more about managing the people with you, because you know that if those guys are taken care of, if those guys feel appreciated, if those guys feel well rewarded, they are going to give you the 200%. So I think for me, uh, I think I wouldn't say a challenge perspective, but I would say it was a learning perspective, where
Mhm.
I had to transition from being like this guy who does his job well to being a person who takes care of the people who's working with them. So
Okay.
I think that was probably the learning I had through that journey of the middle to senior level.
That's interesting, no, because I understand people management is one of the toughest challenge which we face because everyone comes with a different dynamics kind of a thing, a different wavelengths to match along, and we
Right.
work together, have to work together as a team. Also, I think you have also answered the kind of the next question of mine. Is I'm sure you would also agree with me is leadership skills are very essential for career progression. And the one thing which you already have discussed is during your transition, as you have developed these leadership skills. And when did you actually feel, okay, this is where I have to get into from execution level to leadership skills and I have to understand how it works, kind of
Right.
thing.
Right.
Yeah. So And Hari, and also most of the middle level managers, usually what happens is at the senior level manager leadership roles are very limited, and we for undergoing the transition, it takes a little kind of a journey altogether. And many of the middle level managers usually feel stuck in their career. They lack the clarity how about to go forward in the future prospects, what it is, kind of a thing. Have you ever felt this kind of situation when you were a middle level manager, and how did you handle it?
Uh, I think one such example, Shravan, that I would say was let me actually tell you one of the experience that I had at a previous company that I worked at.
Mhm.
Um so I was a middle level manager, and um, I was probably, I think one of the challenges that you have as a middle level manager is that you are not heard. Okay, let's be honest about it.
True,
You
true.
know, you're not heard.
Yes.
You know, the senior stakeholdership, you've got the board of directors, the managing directors. So your voice probably doesn't reach that high.
Mhm.
Uh, so I think that's a challenge that a lot of middle level managers probably face across the globe. Um, so I realized that through the course of time, the only language that your senior leadership team or the people above here is the language that makes revenue impact.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the language that when you come in and say that, listen, I've got this great idea. It's going to drive business by another 5 to 10%. Now
Okay.
that gets people interested.
Mm-hmm.
So just like in my previous question I answered.
Yeah.
So while I was doing my work and etc., I was really good at it and etc. But one of the biggest obstacle I face is that Hari is a good performer, but will I get promoted to the next level? I wasn't really sure.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
I think one of the things that I did at that time was I shifted my focus from saying that, okay, this is my 10 tasks for the day, kind of a thing, but then prioritizing the tasks that will actually drive business impact.
Okay.
So in the company that I worked previously, it's a service industry. So I realized that there was a great opportunity for building a loyalty program,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that loyalty program could drive business from where it was, by a certain percentage.
Right.
So what I then did is, nobody asked me to do it. I mean, nobody asked me to, it was not even part of probably my KRA. I was a branding guy responsible for making sure all the collaterals and everything is in place. But I took this specific interest, spoke to my sales team, spoke to people from the operations team, understood what kind of a loyalty mechanism we should have that will work effectively.
Mm.
And I created a sort of a proposal for myself, and and then when I got the right opportunity at the right forum,
Right.
I pushed this proposal forward. And
Mm.
it was interesting that although a lot of people again probably didn't hear me out, but there was this one person in that group who said that maybe this is a good idea. And
Okay.
sometimes that's all you need, that one person who realizes that your idea is good.
True.
And that person really helped me to curate my idea better.
Mm-hmm.
And later that idea was implemented.
Okay.
Of course, a lot of obstacles, a lot of people didn't want to change and everything, but it got implemented. And that really changed the way people started perceiving and looking at me, and followed a lot more upgradations and promotions for me. So I think my call out for all middle level managers is that always have two or three ideas, that could be out of your KRAs, it could be relevant to other departments that you are working on, and make sure to push those ideas at the right time. Because if you're going to sit there half the time thinking, hey, listen, I'm doing my job well, I delivered on all my KRAs, but I'm not being promoted. I mean, you can get promoted only when people see something that extra 20% in you. And I think
Right.
for me, that's been a big takeaway. Even in my job today, I constantly have these 2-3 projects that I'm working on the side that could possibly give a growth to the company that I'm working with. So I think that would be my big, suggestion and advice to middle level managers who want to be heard and who are trying to make a cut into senior roles.
That's an interesting example you have shared, Hari. And I understand that we always into that comfort zone kind of a thing and say, okay, this is part of my GD, or this is what I'm supposed to do. And we need to move out of this particular comfort zone and collaborate with other departments and see a kind of a solution and see how it actually affects the company in terms of whether
Right.
it's revenues or let's say in terms of growth or business impact kind of a thing. And that's where I think you would fall into that bracket of the senior
Absolutely.
leadership actually taking a notice of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's great to know. So, following with the same thing, I think this falls again into the same bracket kind of a thing. Where, what do you think about personal branding? Because you're always competing with kind of a team which is always there, who's also looking into a kind of a promotion. The senior leadership you're very less heard of, or you're not regularly in touch with. So, how do you personally brand yourself so that people hear you? Let it be within the workplace or outside, and how important it is to you.
Great question, Shravan. I think uh, in today's world, I think personal branding is extremely vital. And Like you said, there is two aspects to it. Your personal brand within the organization that you're working at, because that's going to drive more growth, possibly future promotions, and your personal brand outside your workspace, so that you can start attracting more opportunities. Either it could be in terms of new offers, or it could be possibly in terms of people considering you for either a conference they want you to speak at, or a podcast they want you to be a part of. So I think there are two areas that one needs to work on. And for me, I think coming to the first part of it, that is building a personal brand within the organization. I think I have always, aimed to make sure that I voice my opinions no matter what within the
Okay.
organization that I've worked with.
Mm.
Um, Often what happens is we have all these brilliant ideas, we all have those brilliant opinions, but you put this person in a conference room or in front of a very senior level leadership team. Suddenly whatever we want to say, that minimizes to 5%.
True,
uh,
true.
and if you don't share it, they're never going to know about it. They never know about what you bring to the table. So I have, at every possible thing, be it at a company town hall, be it at a company conference, be it at an important meeting, I have always expressed my opinions. I have always shared whatever I wanted to share.
Mm.
And I think that's helped me build a personal brand that, hey, listen, I think Hari is always going to, speak his mind out. And he always has one or two ideas to contribute.
Mm. Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
I think for me, personal branding within the organization is like, don't be silent, about yourself. You've got to be out there and express yourself.
Yeah.
Coming
Whether
to
it's accepted or not. Yeah.
whether it's accepted or not, but you've got to have an opinion and got to share it. And trust me, people in senior leadership roles love employees who have opinions and thoughts, and are willing to share it. So I think that's been a big learning for me on a personal branding front within the organization. Now coming to personal branding outside,
Mm.
I mean, how the whole ecosystem has changed, right?
True.
Be it with LinkedIn, be it with Instagram and Facebook, it's become less of I would say a social sharing. Earlier, it used to be, hey, listen, I won this award. Hey, listen, I got promoted. Hey, listen, this is so and so happening in my life. Now, if you see, a lot of content is about people trying to share insights and thoughts about a particular field.
Right.
right? You'll see a lot of posts today where people are writing content in terms of their particular field, tips and advices and suggestions.
Mm.
So there is a strong importance for people to be part of that conversation. It's no more enough for you to say that, oh, listen, I'm great at my job. Everybody in my company knows. That's not good enough. You've got to also be out there and say that you're an expert in this particular field. So for me, I think personal branding externally is a very, very important facet. And when you're doing personal branding externally, I think one of the suggestions I have is that you don't spread yourself too thin. I've seen a lot of people, start talking about life philosophy. Suddenly they're talking about something else happening in the world. They have an opinion about, what's happening about politics and stuff like that. So you're spreading yourself too thin. So nobody can really relate to who you are. I would say when you're building a personal brand, it is very important that you select a niche. Like for example, you work in FMCG industry, let's say, and so you've got to build your niche in that area. Start talking about what's happening in that area, what other people who are working in FMCG can learn from, thoughts and ideas about that niche. So over a period of time, you build a personal brand and a very strong personal brand in that niche. Otherwise, trust me, you will just be happy that you're posting content, but you're not actually building your personal brand.
Right. Got it. Yeah. That's really a valuable insight, Sari. I understand because it's. I feel that personal branding is similar to any company branding you're doing it. You need to have that objective of what or
Right.
the vision of what you're trying to position yourself as,
Right.
and then work along the objectives. You set goals and stuff and work along it. Sometimes it does feel like okay, I'm already doing this at work and I don't want to do something similar in my personal life again, which
Right.
feels like work. But you
Yeah.
have to sometimes push yourself to be there.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So moving to the next kind of a question is one thing was I've seen leaders talking about waking up early in the morning around 4 o'clock, starting off their days and stuff like that. And then there's other leadership who boasts about working long hours, kind of a thing, kind of thing. So here, one thing which misses out is health, which is a major factor. How do you take care of it, and how do you actually make sure that your team also has an equal work-life balance?
I think it's a very important question, Shawan. I think health, you can perform all your other duties well only if you have good health. I mean, that's the universal truth. So I think you need to go about health the way you would go about work. Like, for example, you have a set of meetings scheduled for the day. You have a set of tasks that you have to complete at work. What I have done over a period of time is I make going for a jog or going for a walk or going to the gym as part of my calendar schedule for the day.
Yeah,
Uh,
okay.
right. So it sort of blends in into my system. The moment
Hmm.
I start putting it outside my system, saying that, oh, you know what, my day is all about 5 meetings and 4 tasks, work tasks,
Yeah.
then your health, your meditation, or let's say you want to go for a walk, all of that becomes optional. But when it becomes part of your schedule, it's there on your calendar, saying that from morning 7 o'clock to 8, I will go for a walk. I think that sort of programs you to actually do it. So I think you've got to make health part of your schedule for the day. You need to also make things like, I don't know, 15 minutes of meditation, or maybe spending some time with your family evening over a cup of tea, talking to them, also as a part of your schedule. And then it becomes much easier to manage.
Right.
Otherwise, I feel everything then centers around your work, and then all these take a second seat. So that's how I tend to manage or balance my life around my work. And coming to my team, I think one of the leadership styles that I've always followed is that, I think leadership is now changing. It's not about that typical leadership that we had 15 years ago, where your whatever your boss says, you've got to do it. You've got to do it, irrespective of whatever it is. Now I think it's about their own accountability. So with my team, they have a set of things to do. They are accountable for it.
Right.
Whether you want to get up in the morning and do it, whether you want to do it later after 6, whether you want to do it sitting in a coffee shop, whether you want to sit doing it in the office, it is totally up to them.
Right.
But as a leader, I am only concerned with the outcome of it.
Right.
Outcome of it. So I think that changes a lot, because even for the person who's working, he knows I've got to do these things and this is my timelines. So he has a lot more way of handling his time and his life around it.
True. Yeah.
He might decide that, okay, I'm going to sit at 10 in the night and complete this task because I need to do it tomorrow, and he might spend that evening going out with his friends, right?
Right.
Yeah. So I think from giving them that ownership, allowing them to manage their own life, as long as they continue to deliver the tasks, I think that allows them to have a better work-life balance.
Got it. That's interesting, Ari, to know, because yes, I understand now because of the hybrid model also and stuff. Things have been changing a lot, and I think this is the way to go forward with. And it is upon oneself to how do he manages his work-life balance. That's
Yep.
really insightful. So here, Hari, we'll just go to like a quick one-word kind of answers now, more
Sure.
of a rapid kind of a thing. So,
Absolutely.
are there any books or podcasts that you are currently reading or listening to?
I think the books right now, I mean, currently I'm not reading any book, but, a couple of book suggestions I would definitely, recommend people to read is, number one is, I don't know if there's a book called Cain and Abel. It's a
Okay.
very, very old book. I think for me, that's a must read for everybody. And one of the guys I really follow is Simon Sinek. So Simon Sinek is someone who speaks about leadership, and he had a book called "Start with the Why."
Okay.
And I think that's been a very interesting read for me, because he says that you need to really, whatever you're doing in life, you really need to define your core purpose as to why you're doing it in the first place. And if that purpose is sorted out for you, then everything else falls into play. Often we do a lot of things in life, without knowing the why of doing it. So definitely the why, start with the why by Simon Sinek, Cain and Abel. I think these two books have been, I would suggest people to read.
Okay, great. I think I would also have to look into those books then. And so the next question is: do you believe in the concept of dressed for the job?
I mean, I don't know, Shravan. I think it's like, if you ask me, personally, I would say dress in a way which makes you feel comfortable. For a very significant part of my life, I have preferred wearing jeans to work. But again, workplaces are different. They have certain dress codes, etc. So personally, if you ask me, I don't really believe in dressing for the job. I feel the world is changing. You have people who are starting companies wearing shorts and t-shirt. So no more. I feel that that whole concept of dressed up in a three-piece suit really applies anymore. As long as you're able to create magic at work, I
Yeah.
think you should be able to dress in whatever makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah, great. I get it. I completely get it. What you say. So Hari, this brings us to almost the end of the podcast, and I would say is where can people follow you? Is it on LinkedIn, Instagram?
Yeah, I think I people can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm pretty active there, and I have my Instagram channel called Hey Hari.
Okay.
So those are probably two places I'm extremely active. So I think people and listeners, if they want to hear more from me, they can follow me on these channels.
Well, thanks, Hari. That's interesting insights and valuable experiences which we have come across, which I'm sure are very helpful for the middle level managers or people who are looking out to progress into the leadership roles, kind of thing. Thanks for your time and sharing your experiences.
Thanks so much, Shravan, for having me on this very interesting and exciting show, Lead Ladders. I think I personally feel that this is a wonderful platform, especially this whole transition from middle level leadership, senior level leadership, is something that is not often spoken about. You always have senior level leadership talking about things, but to get people to know what that journey was and what they went through to get there, I think this is a very interesting piece. So I'm really excited for Lead Ladders, and I wish you the very best.
Thank you, Hari. Have a great day.
Thanks, Ravan.